The Truth of Girls. Hi everyone, it's Sonia here. Just wanted to stop in to give you guys an update. And I gotta warn you, if you're looking for like a feel-good video, this is not gonna be it. Not that I want to come out here and depress you guys, but I gotta give you guys an update on something regarding my son. And it's not all unicorns and rainbows. But I think you should know, like, the reason I want to post this is that I know there's other people out there who have kids on the spectrum, and also who've been following our whole thing with like homeschooling and unschooling. So it's an update on that stuff, you know. So here's what happened. My son has been homeschooled slash unschooled for 2 years. He successfully completed his grade 5 and 6. He's been doing his grade 7, although very slowly. But he's doing it. But like, I have a lot going on in my life, as you know. You know, my mom getting dementia, having to move to a nursing home, and just, you know, like stuff like having to work and things like that. So it's difficult. I mean, it's not like, you know, I'm a stay-at-home mom and the dad's working and I have all the time in the world to just entertain my child. A lot of the time, like, yes, I might leave him with his dad and he's basically just playing video games while his dad is sort of, you know, supervising. And you know, Gunner's just not getting out of the house very much, and he's really not around other kids, like, except for when we go to church on Sunday. So, you know, he's kind of isolated, and I decided to register him for school. I actually felt like God was like, do it. You know, our social worker sent me an email. She's like, that school is taking registration tomorrow. It's Westmount High, actually. Some of you may know it. So she told me this, so I felt like God was telling me, like, go and do it. So I went and I did it, and I did the application. And you know, they asked about special needs and disabilities, so I said yes, he has ASD, and they asked for a diagnostic report. All I had was the one from when he was 7, which said Gunner presents a severe oppositional defiant disorder. Like, that's the first thing that they say, you know, in the summary. So it doesn't look too, you know, encouraging for a school to look at that, but that's all I had. So, I mean, that was his original diagnostic report, although later they reworded it and took out oppositional defiant disorder. They said, you know, just autism. So I submitted the thing, and including the diagnostic report as requested, and they told me that the next thing would be they would call me to do an interview. They said when there are students with special needs, they do an interview, and when they're homeschooled, they have a chance to present their portfolio, like their academic portfolio. So I'm waiting for this call for us to come in and show what he's been doing, and for them to meet him. And that never happened, because today I got an email that just said that they had rejected him. And they phrase it like, you know, they do with college applications. Thank you for your interest in Westmount High. We receive a lot of interesting applications. Unfortunately, we can't accept all of them, and we wish you success with your continued search for a high school, or something like that. You know, read between the lines. Rejected. Which, the thing that's really strange is they never even did the whole application process. They never even did the interview. So I was really surprised. I really thought they were going to call us in to at least meet him. They didn't even do that. And when I gave the diagnostic report, I was like, look, it's from when he was 7. You know, he's 12 and a half now. He's not quite like that anymore, but here's what we have. So I you know, I knew that wasn't a great thing to be giving them, but I had to, right? I had to be honest. And they wouldn't even give him a chance. They wouldn't even meet him. So I was surprised. I really didn't expect that to be the content of the email. And I was, you know, part of me was like, well, surprised afterwards that they didn't give him the interview. But my first reaction was like, they rejected him. And I kind of wasn't surprised they didn't accept him, but I was surprised that they did it without even completing the application process. So then I told him, and he cried. I'm going to cry now. Oh my God. He was so disappointed. He's been out of school for 2 years, and his friends are all at this school, and he really wanted to go. And I really thought it was time for him to take another, you know, chance try have another go at school. And he said he was ready, and he was like, I'm going to do whatever they say. I'm going to go to class. I'm not going to disturb anybody. And he really, really wanted to be there. And he was just so disappointed, you know. It hurts me to see him so sad. I was sad for him, and I got mad. I wrote them back, and I said, oh, I'm surprised that we never got a call for an interview like we were supposed to. And I mentioned that, and I said to them, is this customary for your school to reject applicants with disabilities without completing the application process? And there was that part of me, the fighter, that was like, I'm not going to stand for this. You guys are going to have to be accountable for what you just did. I'm going to bring this up with the school board. I'm going to bring this up with the Ministry of Education. There was that part of me that wanted to fight for him, and there was another part that was like, you know what, screw it. Like, we can have the interview, and they're still not going to take him. And besides, like, I trying to do what God's will is, and God clearly told me to go and register him or try, you know, apply, and then this is what happened. So I had to like sort of accept it and say, well, you know, maybe that was God's way of telling me he's not going to be at that school. I mean, I don't know. So then I looked into the other schools, and I found there aren't really a lot in our area. And there is one in St. Henry, which is basically like a dumping ground for delinquents. I mean, they have this thing called the MELS, where they evaluate all the schools in the school board areas. And this is at the bottom of the MELS. It's like the kids are like more than 50% of them are under the poverty line. Most of them have like, I don't know, criminal records, and they're illiterate. They said that the average grade 7 entrant reads at a grade 3 level. You know, a lot of them have disabilities too, learning disabilities and like behavioral issues. And okay, my son does have disability and behavioral issues, but he's not a delinquent, and he can read at like a college level. So I don't think he belongs there. And basically, people who had worked there and had given reviews of the school, it's James Ling, in case you're wondering, they said that the kids come from a rough background and they have a rough culture. So I would imagine this would include things like drugs and whatever else. So I don't really want my son to go there because he's not that kind of person. So I just really feel like every time I knock on a door, it's like it slams in my face. If that makes sense, you know? I mean, it's like every time I try, I just get a wall. So I was really discouraged at the thought of him being with me for another year. I know I was all like, yeah, you know, unschooling, and we're doing this and we're doing that. But actually, as I'm working and as I had to do more because I have to take care of my mom, last year it was okay, but this year I have more on my shoulders. And the truth is, in case you're wondering, I told you this was sort of experimental and I would keep you up to date. In case you're wondering how it's gone, as I had to do more, he spent more time on PlayStation, which he never had until last Christmas. Not the one that passed, but the year before. He didn't have a PlayStation before, so his problems all this time, don't blame it on the PlayStation. He just got it not that long ago. But last year, he was okay anyway, in spite of the PlayStation. This year, with the added workload that I have, he was more alone. He spent more time alone. He refused to do any work. Pull out the book, he goes straight into a meltdown, and he basically just wants to do PlayStation. And I kind of understand why. It's because he's online with other kids, so he has friends on there. I mean, he is a kid. He's only 12, and he is so isolated. It's like society has said, we don't want you, and they just keep pushing him out and pushing him out and pushing him out. School, he was switched every year. Every year they said, we're not dealing with this. After school, kicked him out. Summer camps was sort of okay, some of them. Other sports programs and things like that, they were like, we're not dealing with this. Like, literally, no one wants to deal with him. Everyone has just put him back in my lap. And so he doesn't have friends. I mean, when you switch schools every year, obviously you lose your friends, you know? And he couldn't take any more of that. He's really desperate to be with other kids, so I kind of understand why he's on PlayStation. It's not even the video games, it's his friends. He has this friend called Corbin in Idaho, and they have so much fun together, and I can see that that's when he's really happy. He just needs friends and exercise, but, you know, he gets the friends on PlayStation. That's why he's on there so much, because he's tired of being cooped up in here, and I understand it. Because the only time he gets out is when I take him out. I take him with me to what I'm doing. It's not super interesting. I try to take him to the gym. I have to work out with him. I don't always have time. Maybe once a week we can get up to the gym. I mean, what kind of a life is this? But it's like I've tried everything. I've like knocked on every door. And it's pretty clear like nobody wants to deal with him. And the only place that probably would take him is a place for like delinquents. I mean, what is that? Even our social worker said, don't bother with Summit. They probably won't take him. And Summit is like the school for autistic kids, and they don't give academic credit. And they probably wouldn't even take him because of his age and his behavior and stuff. So I apparently I'm not alone. There's a lot of people who are in this situation with their kids on the spectrum who have behavioral problems that they end up just like alone with their kids, like cooped up. I know 2 other moms who have kids like very similar to my son, homeschooled. They've tried many schools. Those people, they've even tried private schools. They've tried so many things. Always the kids ends up just back in the home. And they, they're just sort of stuck with their kid all the time. And one of them, the kid doesn't leave the house ever anymore. He's completely like refuses to go out now. So, sometimes you see all this positive stuff online or on YouTube about people with autism, but the reality is like society just doesn't want to deal with people with behavior problems. And the reality is still that kids with and adults with autism, if they're difficult to get along with, nobody wants to deal with them, and they end up really, really marginalized. And I can see in my son how having this experience is shaping him as a person, how it's shaping his views of having relationships with other people or getting involved in anything or trying anything. And it's not like he can't do better. I've seen him do better when he was handled right. When he was in the day program, he did better. When he was at the other school, but he had a good teacher or a good shadow and he wasn't abused, he was okay. But he was in St. Gabriel's school and they were really abusive. They were putting him in holds all the time. In grade 5, they failed him on purpose. There was all kinds of awful stuff that went on there. They were really mean to him. And it just like ruined it. And I can see like the cumulative effect. So you guys please pray for us because I just want my son to be okay. I mean, I have to put all this in God's hands, but I guess God has a plan for him, but it doesn't seem like the kind of plan I would want for him, but, I guess God has a plan, Anyway, I just wanted to give you an update. We tried to sign him up for school. They rejected him. I'm not going to bother trying to sign him up for other nearby schools because probably it's the same, and the rejection hurt him more than, not even trying. Like, just trying and then getting told, we don't want you again, just it crushed him so much. I can't put him through that, and I can't go through it again either, and we don't want to go to the delinquent school. So for now, we're going to be homeschooling this year, and then next year I have a plan to try to get him into another alternative school called Mind, or one of these, I'm going to try again next year, but some of them, they don't take them until grade 9. Anyway, that's it right now. That's the update. I hope that information is useful to you if you're, homeschooling or you have an autistic kid or whatever. And just please keep us in our prayers, and we do pray for you guys also. And thanks for your support on Patreon. God bless you guys. Thanks for listening to me, and I'll see you next time.